Hi everyone, it's Bren here. Welcome to this week's garden update. It's an absolutely beautiful sunny day here. We've got a long weekend ahead, 4 days off, and I'm excited to get stuck into some garden jobs, as I'm sure many of you are, whether you are in autumn or in beautiful sunny spring. I was just thinking, some of you may be in spring, but it's probably still a little bit chilly for you, but hopefully not too many more weeks to wait until it starts to really warm up. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you how I create pressed flowers. Plus, we'll take a look at a couple of gourds that I planted back in springtime. They're starting to grow now, and they're both a bit unusual. I've got some dinosaur gourds and some speckled swan gourds. I forgot the name for a sec. So please just sit back, relax for a few minutes, and let me show you around. I was up bright and early this morning, a busy little bee in the garden, picking all of these blooms and gorgeous foliage, which I'm going to play around with now to create some pressed flowers. Pressing flowers is a method of preservation where you flatten these out under a weight with the hopes to quickly remove all moisture and retain these lovely colours. I picked a big mix, lots of plumbago flowers, fennel, cosmos, zinnias, black-eyed Susans, you name it, lots and lots going on here. Dahlias, of course, and foliage too. It's important when you're choosing your flowers to pick those that are the best quality, that have freshly opened. You see this one here, the petals look perfect, and I have noticed it might have been a bit early for me. I mightn't have had enough coffee, but some of them that I've chosen, like this one, no, I keep on dropping them. Maybe I need some more coffee to wake up. This one, you can see some of the petals have started to curl in a bit. They're slightly damaged and brown. I won't be using this bloom. Once these are all dried, you can use them in various different craft projects, such as arranging them onto, some paper and framing it, or adding them into gift cards as a nice added personal touch. Thicker flowers like these dahlias, you can see there's a lot more petals there. It's quite dense. These ones do take longer to dry, and the longer they take to dry, the more chances of them going brown. So what you can do is remove some of the petals from the center and the base to give it more of a chance. I'll just show you now. Like this, I mean, it's not quite the same really, is it? It's not as beautiful. What you can also do is, instead of just drying the entire flower, you can dry the petals individually. There are a few different ways that you can press your flowers, some traditional, others not quite so much. Like, you can use an iron, a microwave, you can purchase a flower press. What I'm more familiar with, the cheaper option, you just use a big heavy book. Any book, it doesn't have to be a flower book. I'm using this one because this is what my kids' great grandma used to press flowers, and I want to keep with the tradition of the family. The process of pressing these flowers is very simple. So all you need is that book, and I have some printer paper. Some people prefer to use paper towels and napkins rather than the paper, and you know what, they work really well too. The only thing you need to be aware of, so I've actually grabbed a napkin to show you, is some napkins and paper towels have this kind of pattern on them, and if you use them, that pattern can transfer onto the petals and foliage. I'm going to do a couple of sheets to demonstrate how to arrange them. So I'm placing them on some paper, and you can see I'm giving them a nice bit of space in between. With this fennel, it is sticking up at the moment, it's not completely flat, but once I put a separate sheet over the top, place it in the book, it will flatten out. And don't forget to dry some foliage too. It comes in really handy. It makes the designs that you create when you're doing your craft projects, just makes it look a bit more natural. So I'll place a few of these down here as well to dry. This process of laying them all out can be a little bit time consuming, but it is a very relaxing project. One tip when handling these flowers, or especially if you are placing down individual petals like I am here with the dahlias, you can use a tweezers. It just prevents or reduces the chances of any bruising on the petals that fingers could cause if you're using them. Once you place down your flowers, next step is to pop another sheet of paper over the top of them. Then I've just placed them inside the book, so one between these two pages, and then I'll turn that over. The second one has gone in there, and another little step you can take is you can label the flowers and foliage. You can either write it on the paper or stick in some extra labels. Let's carefully close this up. Yeah, right, that was not careful. Do it a bit more gentle than I just did. To weigh it down, you can either put a few more heavy books on top, or if you want to cover it with a towel and put a brick over the top too, that works well. You just need a bit of pressure to push all the flowers down to help them dry out quickly. Finally, for any of you rebels out there, there is a step that you can eliminate if you like, but you are taking a risk. You can actually just put the flowers straight into the book like that. I have found flowers like this in this book when I was going through it that Nana put in, and you know what? They worked out really well, but you are taking the chance of possibly staining the book with the pigment colour in the petals. So you can try it, but be warned. I will put together a few more sheets over the weekend, and in approximately about 2 or 3 weeks we'll come back to this and see how they are going, and some of them may dry out sooner than others. The flatter flowers will be a bit quicker. Some of the others like this fennel may take slightly longer, but we'll just wait and see what happens. And once they have done that, in a few weeks time, I'm going to share with you a few projects how to use all of these. So the reason why I'm over here by this dahlia patch is you may remember back in springtime. Oh, okay, there's your pretty picture. Let's see the reality down here. It's such a mess. But the reason why we're looking at this little patch of ground is because, do you remember back in spring I planted 2 different types of gourds that I hadn't grown before? Well, I have a bit of an update. Both the plants are doing really well and have developed gourds. Look at this. It's one of the speckled swan gourds growing here on this vine. They're actually quite heavy. I wasn't expecting that. It's almost like there's a brick inside here on this bulbous part at the base. There is another one growing down here underneath the dahlia patch. So these plants tend to just wander around, and you can see it over there. It's really hard to get in at the moment. It seems pretty happy, so I'll just leave it be and come back to it when it's harvest time. Underneath the archway is the third one which I found. Now the reason why they are called speckled swan gourds, well, you can see the speckle pattern on them, but you might be wondering, why is it called swan? Let me explain. So it actually looks like a swan. You just have to use a bit of an imagination here. So that's the swan's body, this is its neck, and you can see up here is its beak on top and its head. With these gourds, if you allow the vine to ramble along the ground, the gourds themselves will develop and they'll naturally start to curve on this section, which will give you that swan appearance. But I have some of mine growing on a trellis, so they tend to just grow straight down and you don't get that same effect. But boy, I love this anyway. Over in this section is where I have some of the second variety of gourds which I'm growing. There's one here. This is called a Dinosaur gourd. Now it is quite small and immature at the moment. They do get as large as those speckled swans. The reason for this is the plant really struggled to get growing. I don't know why, I've got no idea, but it seemed to just find it a lot more difficult to get established. But now it's really happy, and I do have quite a number of these little gourds growing. There's one in here too. Unfortunately though, I do not think that they will grow as large as a speckled swan, because as I mentioned earlier, the weather is cooling down and it's just not the right conditions now to get these to full size. However, we'll see, you never know, we could get some nice warm weather now over the coming weeks. I was hoping in this week's video to be able to include a corn update, because I have 2, possibly 3, I haven't checked on the other one, corn varieties growing, but they are just not quite ready yet. So I've got some glass gem corn which I have grown before. I showed you them last year, and a couple of other varieties, a white one and a little miniature dwarf corn, the ones that people put into stir fries. Oh, I wish they were ready, because I've been just checking them all the time, but they're not quite there yet. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, next week we can check them out. But until then, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you again next Friday.